evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today about Sollie. Sollie best known for originally Sons of Angels. That's when I first saw you and heard your music, and you know, so the album was obviously becoming kind of like a kind of like a classic, kind of a you know. Um, and then if I'm not wrong, like was it almost like it was a while. You guys did one more album too, right?
Well, first of all, great to be here.
No,
Thanks, Sean.
sorry, yes, well, sorry.
No, you're right. It was two albums actually.
Okay, it was two. Okay,
Yeah, but the second one was supposed to come like right after the first one, or 2 years after, like '92. It was pretty
hmm
much done by '92, but it didn't come out until 2002, 10 years later. So yeah, it at the time, the record company that put that second album out, they wanted it to be like a new album, but it was kind
right.
of obvious, I think, for people listening to him that this belonged in the early '90s.
Well,
Some
but
critics
it's
said,
funny.
where have these guys been in 10 years?
Yeah, but it was weird because it also didn't sound like the first album though. You know what I mean? I think there's a big difference between the two albums,
It
sound
is.
wise.
It is. The band developed a lot from '88 till '92. Um, it actually did, because I mean it's sort of a fairy tale story about the whole band. I mean, there were actually two songwriters, Lars K and Torstein. They were a
hmm
songwriter duo that wanted to start a band. So when they first started songs, there were no one in the band. So the whole thing developed a lot when the whole band got together, and what we did, all of us did in the band, influenced the direction, and also what kind of feedback we got. That also sort of changed the direction. So
But because it's well, in the beginning, the first album, which is to say, it's like it still stands out so different because it has like a funky sound to it, and it has a lot of pop sensibilities to it with like rock guitar, which I think kind of stood out. You know, and your voice was very different. You know, and the second album was, I think, had a little less funk to it, felt a little more serious rock. I think
mm,
that's the difference. What I felt. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
you're right. You're right. um I mean, the initial idea from Torsten and Lars K was to create a rock band with a groove. um Lars K was a huge Prince fan, and he really wanted the band to groove, and but at the same time, sort of uh, keep the roots of being a classic rock band. So
yeah,
it came out quite original, and we got a lot of good feedback on that too, from like the guys at Kerrang. They wrote like the Scandinavian wave of funko metal, they actually called it,
yeah,
and put us together with Electric Boys and a couple of
yeah.
others.
Another which is really great. I mean, but that's what you guys stood out. If you guys had done the first album first, you probably wouldn't have stood out as much because that was kind of like similar. It's not about quality of songwriting. It's just the funk was so different than everybody else's. There's only a few bands doing
Absolutely.
that, and the songs are so poppy on that first album. You take out the electric guitar, and you could have had like a pop album. You know, and
Yeah,
push up
and
keep.
and and the record company people were not like, they didn't know really where to put us. Some talked of us as a rock band, and the next Skid Row, which we were
Yeah,
obviously not. But some people talked out, no, they're like Roxette.
that's funny. I've heard
So,
that, but you were kind of between the two songwriting wise though. So
mm,
as far as the record though, you would thought they would push you guys for more singles. They would have really tried to milk some singles out of that album because it was so catchy. You know,
mm.
when you guys were together in the songwriting process from the first, like prior to this, what were you doing singing? Like, what was your background like influenced by coming in?
Mm, well, I had a band in Molde, which is still my band, actually. We had
Yeah,
24 years break. We'll probably come back to that.
yeah,
Uh,
we will.
yeah, I was singing hard rock. I had this little fling, almost we can say, with a synth rock band, uh, which was totally wrong. But
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that experience because I tried out different um, angles of singing and got to know my voice a lot better and we worked a lot in the studio so even if that band was totally wrong for me it was a very important experience for me.
Your phrasing, that is a good point because your phrasing, especially on the first one, because you guys were pretty much on your own, I think, writing the songs. You had like less influence from other like the pressure of everybody, the songs and your peers. You guys were just like who you were. Yeah, your song, your vocals were very different the way you did them too. I don't think you weren't didn't think you were trying to fit something. You kind of were doing what you felt was right for the song, kind of like natural. And I think that really was one of the things that helped elevate it, because you have a very distinct
Oh,
voice and the way you phrase it.
thanks. Mm.
You're welcome. I mean, the voice is an instrument, but some people don't use it as much of an instrument as just an accompaniment. But in this case, it was really the way I work with guitar. The guitar at times has such a like a raw, dry tone to it. Not the funky part, but the rock part and in the high end of your voice. It just was to me. It was perfect. It was like the perfect tones together. You know. So what happened? So like so you did Sons of Ages for a while, and in that process, unfortunately, you guys also came later in the game. You didn't have as many years to get a couple albums out before the grunge came and hit everybody, which was unfortunate. I think if you had a couple more albums under your belt, you may have had a better chance of survival, in the long term. With that being said, what did the band do between grunge and obviously the album didn't go out right away, the second one? For survival, were you guys still playing and trying to fight with the record company to get more music out, or what was it like? Or was it like grunge, let's all kind of take a break, go our separate ways, or like,
Well, it certainly was a weird time. I mean, we were we were disappointed by the push we got from Atlantic. We suddenly realized that they had signed a tremendous lot of bands at the same time as we did, and as someone said, they were just throwing balls to the walls and
yeah,
see what came back, and even though we were happy in the first place with the Atlantic. We actually left them. It was our own choice. They were ready to do another album, but we were so disappointed that they didn't push the album more. So we worked and were very very close to getting a deal with SBK
hmm
records. They had like King's X and McQueen Street, and they were like seemed like a more hungry new label,
right,
sort of. But when the new year in 1992 came, they merged all the small labels under the new EMI umbrella,
yeah.
and all the people we worked with were thrown in different directions, and suddenly we had to start all over again, which was it was okay. Also, we always got good attention from, especially on the songwriters side,
Mhm.
uh, um, and the sort of last try we had this band was with actually Desmond Child, who was really in love with the band. He said we were the among the best songwriters he ever worked with. So we were really close with Desmond Child at in the summer of '92. I remember I had the private phone number to his mom on Cuba. uh, calling him up, and he was for sure he was going to make us a deal. But when he called me up in August '92 and said that uh, after a meeting with RCA, I sold my ass off but couldn't make it. then I really understood that there was a shift. There was
Yeah,
something something strange and new. So of course it was the grudge thing happening, and everyone was running after bands that sounded like Pearl Jam or
yeah,
Soundgarden. Yeah. So I guess living still in Norway, even though traveling a lot back and forth, that
right.
was sort of what became our downfall, because we were not in the yeah, in the right uh,
Place.
yeah, environment for to keep up with the changes and that sort of stuff. And because this was a project designed to become huge, we didn't have a platform even in Norway. So we didn't have anything to fall uh,
Okay, back
back,
into.
yeah, on. So yeah, it was tough, but it seems like time has sort of like a little, like a good wine, it's the album really, we've gotten more and more
Yeah,
emails and people asking for us, are you not coming back together? And finally it seems like we do. Hmm.
I remember buying the cassette. I'm 53, so that was prime for me. So I had the cassette, when it came out. So actually, so are you guys? I didn't think you guys were even getting together. I know that you do your own thing, but is there a talk of you guys getting together?
It's not a talk, we're doing a huge festival
Oh,
next
okay.
Saturday. So,
Oh,
so, but that's the first. So we're doing a warm up, a small club in Oslo on Friday, the 2nd of August, and then Raumarok, which is this region's biggest rock festival, in on August the 3rd. So I've
wow.
been involved
Congrats.
with the festival myself, and we had like Brian Adams the other year, so it's quite a good festival.
I didn't even know that. I see your page. I'm friends on Facebook. I didn't even know that. It's like
Oh,
the best kept secret.
I'm on your channel now, so I should bring some
I
news.
know.
It's like
It will be news now. This is
breaking.
huge.
You better put that
This
up.
will
Breaking
be.
news. Sons of Ancients
It
back
will.
together.
It will be. This is. There are a lot of fans that it is. It solely is that the age group that we're at. Everyone's come to the point now where there's expendable money again. They can go to shows. Their kids grew up in the car listening to the same music that mom and dad listened to. So that's why it's so good right now for rock artists because the fans are back. They got the money, they got the time. Some of them travel to do the cruises, to go to the festivals. They're bringing younger fans in. You know, now the only problem is the artists are getting old. You can't stop age.
Well, I don't know if you see the same in where you live, but here in Norway, we talk of the golden age. It's like when you get into the 60s and 70s, people have a lot more money to spend,
Yeah, that's
because
what it is. Exactly. That's what it's called here too. It's the same. I live right between New York and Boston. It's the same, and it's really helped rock music here, you know, survive and do better finally because of the same thing. You get the money, the time, you know, it's
yeah, and
great.
people are still in their go-go years, so they go wherever they want to listen to the music they love.
And also though, here's the difference though. They always say it's like it's the classics is the legends are but artists like you and a lot of the artists that are touring now don't haven't changed because like when we were younger, old for me was like in the 40s. My grandfather looked older than I do now. And I was about 53, like and he was in his 40s. So we're all aging differently and better. So it's different now. The bar is raised. I've
Absolutely.
heard you. I haven't heard you in person yet, but on YouTube, your voice still sounds just as strong. So I mean, it's perfect. It's a good time. I'm assuming the band has probably just got their chops. 'Cause I assume all you guys are playing separately as you guys are playing together. So I don't think anyone's gonna stop playing. You know, for
Yeah,
you,
exactly. Yeah,
you
I
play
think the band
your own
is
band, right?
yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
It's a
The other
variety
guys have
band.
been playing too, so And like Staffan, he's like famous in Norway now for doing all types of jazz, actually. So
Yep.
people seem really eager to hear him play rock again, you know. So
It's funny because I saw he did that. I was like, oh my God, I remember seeing something else with him, and I didn't make the connection prior. I saw his name separate with something else. I heard it, but I didn't
yeah,
think, oh, there's just so much music out there. You know what I mean? Your
yeah,
brain can only
sure,
go so
sure.
much. But it is funny that he does something different. Yeah, his own little jazz world. But but it makes sense of why the guitar was so interesting with what he's continued on doing. You know what I mean? Very interesting guitar player. And then you throw your voice into it, and the rest of the band, and it makes these classic songs. And I know in your band over the years, you've done Sons of Angel songs continually.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mm.
I mean, you'd probably be chased out of town with a pitchfork if you didn't do some of those songs, right? If you didn't do Cowgirl
Yeah,
or
it's like
Lonely Rose, or I mean, there's so many songs in the first one that it's just it feels like a greatest hits album because there's just so many like each song is like you just know it, you hear it, it's in your head, you know. Which,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
so how did this whole re-coming back together happen? Was it just because
yeah. We've
an
been
offer?
talking more and more about it, and when the sad thing happened that Torstein passed this winter, I think we all knew that this is going to be a tribute
Hmm.
to the band, to ourselves, but not least to him. You know,
Right.
it's sad that that had to happen before we actually, or we were quite in the planning when it happened. So that's a very sad thing, but it makes it's yeah, it gives another dimension to it, you know, to honor him and keep his name alive as well, you know, because he was really like the force of this band. He and Lars were a really creative, good partnership when it comes to songwriting, but when it comes to the actual business side of things, to get things done and
Hmm.
take us to America, it was Thorstein was the power. He was the man in
Oh yeah.
charge. Mm,
I'm sure. Yeah, knowing he was behind it and to keep it going now makes it that
yep.
much more important because his energy's into it. This is what he wanted. It's not like, well, I suppose he would have. You know, you know.
Yeah.
So it does make
Yeah.
sense to keep it going. Was
So
there a
so
resistance in all these years to get together sooner, or was it just no one wanted to? Like, did it,
once more.
was there a resistance in the band that didn't want to get together? Because sometimes it's like that's
No,
my
I think
past. I don't want to be confused.
we all wanted to do it. It's just been a matter of us being very busy in different kind of jobs and all that. So the timing hasn't been there, you know. But now we just put things a bit aside so we could
Yeah.
actually make it happen.
So is it going to be more of a couple times a year thing, or just a one-off, or going to take it by there if you get some gigs and maybe keep going with it, kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I
Or is it like
I sort
a
of yeah
limited
I
project?
sort of feel that this Ramarok thing will be very much a showcase for us for getting more
Mhm.
festival gigs. You know, I think hopefully we will playing a couple of festivals for next year, and then maybe outside Norway as well, because I think there are sort of a urge for bands like us that really can deliver, and we actually can. We had some incredible rehearsals. I was amazed
Yeah.
myself how good it sounded. Yeah.
Well, you guys are all professional musicians that played separately all these years, but you also have a chemistry, and when you get a chemistry in a band, you know that it doesn't always happen. So when it clicks, you know, and that's what happens when it's been that long.
Yeah, and we got a fantastic new bass player though in
Mhm.
taking Torstein's place. It's Svante Henriksson. He's not only a double bass player, but he's a cellist as well. So he's got the classical training, and if you think it was something familiar with that name, he used to be with Yngwie Malmsteen in the
Oh,
in the 90s.
okay.
Svante Henrysson, his name is. Mm.
Yeah, it does sound
Mm.
familiar to me. Yeah, okay, it's all connected. It really is. And it's a good fit. Would that lead to maybe songwriting? Or are you getting ahead of myself? I mean, because you guys are musicians and songwriters, so it feels like it'd just be a natural thing. Like, oh, that was fun. We did all those songs. I got a riff. You know,
Yeah,
I got some
yeah,
lyrics in the
I think
back.
so. But we are so into making the best versions we can of the old stuff that we haven't really got into that. But it's quite obviously going to be the next step. And Lars K, who's not going to be on stage with us on the Ramarok, is very much within the band and in the spirit of the band. So he's talking about writing some new material as well. So
So I imagine you could draw a lot of songs from the first album.
yeah, but it's going to be a good mix from both albums, I think, because there is a certain edge to some of the songs
There is.
of the second album that we really like to have in the set. Like the title track "Slumber with the Lion." I put that out on
Mhm.
Facebook the other day, and it almost got viral because comments. I had a small uh, movie from the
Yeah.
rehearsal, and
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's but that's the thing is it's gonna be interesting to where you are because like the album, it's kind of not a cult thing, but it's like certain songs, so like that album is not as well known as your first one. You know what I mean? Like especially over in the US. Like I just happened to stumble onto Slumber just because I was listening to the other album, streaming it, and it popped up at the bottom. Like, and, sometimes bands have like another band will come out with the same name, and I'm like, that date doesn't make sense because the release date's not probably the real date. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I look at it, I'm like, I don't see anything new by them. And I listen to the album, I go, yeah, it's them. I go, man, it just sounds totally different. So then I'm wondering, when was this recorded? Because obviously I didn't think it was new, but it didn't sound like like the first one. And not that you have to repeat yourself, but it did seem like night and day. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, we want to try something different type of sound. So to me, I was like,
Mm.
oh wow, that really is interesting that. And there are some real standout tracks on that one as well. Just I just know a lot more people probably know the first one. And as a performer, the fans want because you can only do so many songs that you want to do that they don't want that they don't know before people start walking away and getting beer. You know,
Yeah, it's a couple of my very own favorites is on that second album. I love the ballads on the first album, of course. Um, but like No Sorrow and Burning Childhood, I think those songs are really strong. So it's going to be really fun to play them live.
it's nice. It's actually going to give probably some legs. Maybe I don't know how much, but a second wind. I mean, only because there's so much music out there now streaming, but it'll put a little more focus on that album that probably got no focus. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I want to step
yeah.
back a minute and say it does show a lot because I've had Desmond Child on before too, and he is a fan of pop music. He loves a good melody. Once again, I'm sure that's what he heard that first album of yours. He heard that melody, that pop sensibility you guys have. He knew it. So having him, even though you didn't get it, that record thing, I mean, still having him advocate for you is still a win on some level, artistically, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
just to
it's
have,
going to be really interesting. Yeah.
uh, so when they approached you, did they go to like one or two of you guys and say, hey, you know, would you guys get together? Are you together? Would you get together for the bill at this point? You know what I mean? Is that how it starts off to get a band together like you that hasn't been together for a while?
Well, it started from within the band. I mean, we finally
Oh, wow.
decided that okay, well, we're doing this, and then we put out some yeah,
Feelers?
some yeah,
Yeah,
and there we got some attention. So Ramarok is like it's quite a huge festival actually. As I think I said, it's going to be like a showcase thing for hopefully getting quite a few festivals in 2025.
I can't see why not. I mean, it's probably gonna bring a resurgence to you with you might have to do a live album just to get the taste going, you know what I mean? Just from a live album of some of the tour, get some old stuff from both albums together, put something out there for the fans while you guys are doing it. I wouldn't hurt a little extra income, some streaming, get you guys out there again, to the fans. It's gonna be I see a lot of shirts, that logo too you got on.
Yeah, I got it on right here.
That is great. I saw that. I saw you wearing that in the video and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I need one of those, you know. Um, so you guys so then I actually don't know this actually. You guys don't have an official website yet, right?
Well, no, I'm afraid not. We have a Instagram.
Okay.
We made that when Torstein passed. We're hopefully gonna yeah. We try to improve when it comes to our social media profile.
Only as it helps. You don't need to do the crazy TikTok stuff. I think as a fan, like to know the dates that are coming out. If you sell some shirts, if there's, you know, other countries might want to buy some shirts, you know what I mean? There's stuff like that.
Yeah,
That we as fans, if you can't see right now in the US, I mean, the US has a bunch of festivals. I'm sure, you know, opportunities will happen to you as they start opening up, you know, come over some, festivals over here or something and kind of look at that kind of situation. Because you have a good fan base over here too, you know. We'll see how much it stirs up at the festivals.
yeah. It's gonna be really exciting. I'm very excited about this now. It's gonna be really interesting to see. And
I can see you also probably getting the offer for like a 2025, 2026, one of those rock cruises. You know, I can see one of those. That would be a good one too. A really gauge to see what the market is for you because it's such an international thing. There's a lot of US fans on it that are really deep fans.
yeah, I mean, we sold 200,000 albums, so
Yeah,
there's quite a few albums out there.
there is. There is. A couple of them are my collection. You back then, I used to sit on them in their cassettes and you always break them. I can't tell how many times I was saying this before. Your album in Sleeve Speeds, I can't tell you how many albums I must have bought on cassette. And then finally on CD, like losing them or breaking them or lending them out, you know?
Yeah,
So those were the albums back then for me, and today, I like to go back and listen to them. Um, so that's awesome. That's just a great surprise. The other thing though, before we kind of wrap this up today, I want to say is you also have another band though that you do that you've been in all along. And of course you're gonna stay in that one and keep playing too.
absolutely. It's sort of home base in
Right,
terms of
exactly.
yeah. What?
Yeah, I said no, exactly. It looks like it's very much
Yeah,
your
yeah.
bread and butter kind of,
It's
continue.
the only problem with this band is that people keep misunderstanding because we call ourselves Araya Heap,
Yeah.
and that's sort of a fun name that we has just been with us all the time, and we had in the early 80s when we first started out, it was
Mhm.
two a brother and a sister, both named Araya, like Tom Araya in
Yep.
Slaughter, and
Yep.
obviously we should have named ourselves Araya and had a cool sort of different name, but because the sound like with Uriah hip, it kind of it became a joke, it's
Yeah,
Araya
it's
hip,
way
and
close. Yeah, it's way close.
yeah, so it's just been cling to us, throughout the years. Elizabeth, who played piano, really good piano actually. She was like rocking piano. We had sort of a different sound with her playing piano, but it's just Ramon now, but he is also the main focus in
Yeah.
the band yeah. So we still named Araya Heap. We got back together in 2009 after 24 years break. And now we have like a 15 years anniversary for getting back together. So we played the other big festival even bigger festival actually, but it's a jazz festival, the Molde International Jazz Festival. We played last Friday, so
Really?
so that was a good one for Uriah Heep.
Yeah, when I saw it, I didn't get it because sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm missing something because there's like something a cultural difference. I'm like, Uriah Heep, it's not like a Uriah Heep like a tribute, like there's some Uriah Heep and other rock songs and some originals. Like I couldn't get the gist of it. Like I'm trying to figure it out on YouTube, listening to it. I'm like, no, just their name. So it is kind of
Yeah.
confusing, especially for American.
Well, at one point, we talked about doing easy living just to satisfy all the people that thought we were. But on the other hand, we just decided, no, we're never going to do a Uriah Heep cover. We are not a Uriah Heep cover band.
That is so funny though. It really does. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's so good, and you've done it so long now. Like you never would want to change it because it's become its own thing. You know, it's almost so
Exactly.
funny at this point. It is pretty good. Um, and there's lots of videos up online on YouTube if people want to check that out too. And you're playing locally, I bet, quite frequently.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We play like at least 3 or 4 times a year. We used to do more, but here in Norway, as most places, I guess it's
Yeah.
less places to play these days, and we don't want to play for just play. We want to have good gigs, so
Yeah.
so that means we're not doing that many gigs. But then again, people really appreciate it whenever we come out. So we have great fun in the rehearsing and also doing a lot of originals. Ramon has written quite a few really good songs lately, so there are some new material coming out. There is one song out on Spotify already. It's called "Hands on the Money."
Hmm.
But there is a couple of more coming quite soon, I think. So that's going to be
Will
interesting.
you be announcing it, or will be hidden information like Sons of Angels announcement? Will be tucked away, or will more people know about it?
Well, again, yeah, yeah. I have to improve on the social media side. It's
Well, this is a big start. You're starting here. This is a good place to start
yeah,
putting it out
sure,
there.
sure. I love it.
I guess
Yeah,
what I'm saying is if locally they get a chance to see this band too, that's the not Uriah Heep cover band, Uriah Heep. You guys look like you're a lot of fun and sound good just from YouTube. So I can imagine it's a good performance. And you're not shabby if you're playing the festival, the jazz festival. So I'm just saying if fans are interested, they don't know, want to see you in the local gigs, where would they go? Probably just at this point, check out your Facebook and follow you and kind of hang tight.
yeah. It's we mainly play Brygga in Molde, but there are some talks about a gig in Oslo also, or yeah, well, the focus now is to get in the studio and finish off some of the new songs and recording. But I think we're going to do a bit more gigging with this band also. It's like
Good.
uh, it's my I just turned 60 now, so I feel like I can. Okay, this is the time, get back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a skill you have, and you sound good. It's good to write. So it's good. So coming up, we look for more original music from that band. So if people haven't heard any of it, we all new to them. And then down the road, it's only a matter of time before more stuff comes out from, Sons of Angels. So there's a lot to look
You know,
forward to.
it's easier now to be a singer in two bands. That was sort of not allowed in the old days. It's
Yeah.
like you had one band and it was like the one thing, and you couldn't do different projects. It's nowadays I see people just swapping projects all the times.
Oh,
So
well, you mentioned King's X, and I've had Doug on a few times. And I say that because promoting different projects, not even King's X, like the new King's X album, that's like another project he's done with George Lynch. Like you can do so many things as an artist
yeah,
now.
yeah. I remember I joined Psycho Motel with Adrian Smith in '94.
Mhm.
Uh, Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden,
Yep.
and at the time I was actually singing with Scott Gorham from Thin Lizzy in 21 Guns, and we were like really striving to get a record deal. We had been going on for like almost 2 years, I think, when I joined at least one and a half. When I joined Psycho Motel, and I was asking if could I still do the 21 Guns thing, and I think Adrian was fine with it. He's a cool guy,
Yeah.
but Rod Smallwood, the the boss, Sanctuary music guy, he said no, 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 that's not. I
Well,
couldn't
then
be
that
in
definitely
both
you're watering.
bands.
Well, back then it would have been watering down the brand. It would have showed that, you're not serious because why are you in two bands if you're that serious? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Probably from a
yeah,
business thing. And Adrian's like, I don't care. You're a musician. Musicians aren't businessmen. That's why they're separate.
exactly, exactly.
That's
So,
really good. This
but
is
I eventually, because I did an album with Psycho Motel, the State of Mind album, in '95. When that project ended, at least from my side, 21 Guns still hadn't got a record deal, so I ended up doing 21 Guns after all. So that came
you
out
got
in
it.
'97. Mm.
That's really good. There's a lot of other stuff to check out too. I didn't know you did 21 Guns, so I'll have to check that out. Um,
It's kind
so
of
much of
neat because I talked to Leif Johansen, the producer and the songwriter with Scott Gorham, and that second album of 21 Guns that I sung on the Nothing's Real album is Scott said it's his favorite album. It's the album he always plays in the when he's in his car. So and it's actually on his bucket list to do another 21 Guns album. So wow, it might seems like the '60s can be good.
your date card is filling up.
Yeah,
Your dance card. That that's really awesome. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this information. And now we'll have to catch up a little bit down the road and see where we are with the releases of all your projects and the progress and update people. So we're keeping in the
I
loop.
will. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, I've appreciated this. I'm happy to talk to you after all these years, after listening to you. It's always fun to talk to the person whose lyrics and songs you've been hearing for so long. You know, uh, this is great. I want to thank you for being on the show, man.
I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.